On this episode of Survive and Thrive 8791, I welcome back Sauk-Prairie boys basketball coach Sean McGann to the Buck and Honey's remote studios. Sauk-Prairie is heating up at the right time, from a winter break test at the Sentry Classic to a clutch game winner and a 5-game winning streak. We're talking Eagles basketball and what's ahead as postseason approaches. This will be a good one. Here we go. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. What is up wherever you are, whatever you are doing? I hope you're having a great day. Welcome to another episode of Survive and Thrive 8791. I'm your host, Coach Decora. We are in the Buck and Honey's remote studios on the east side of our great capital city of Madison, Wisconsin. You can listen to the podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, and YouTube at Survive and Thrive 8791. You can follow the podcast and get access to previous episodes on all of those platforms at Survive and Thrive 8791. The podcast, don't forget to hit that follow button or subscribe button wherever you listen to the show. Leave me a comment if you liked what you heard. If there's a topic or you know a guest who would love to share their story, email me at tdecora@gmail.com. Glad you could join us. Our mission is to share stories and conversations that make you cry, laugh, and think, stimulating emotions, creating laughter, and inspiring the mind. A new episode will air on Monday and Thursday morning featuring a wide range of guests. The podcast will touch on many subjects such as, but not limited to, grief, loss of a loved one, recovery, professional setback, mental illness, success despite challenges, etc. Our guests will share how they learn to survive and thrive. Before I introduce our esteemed guest via the cell phone and Bluetooth, I'd like to highlight our website, Survive and Thrive 8791.com. You can see what we are doing at Survive and Thrive 8791 and the events we are hosting. If you're a business or an advocate for mental health and recovery, we invite you to partner with us through sponsorship opportunities. Please contact us at surviveandthrive8791@gmail.com. This is our guest and episode intro, and according to the internet, and the internet is always right, and the last time I checked with you, Sean, that's still correct?
It's still, after 3 sessions, I haven't found anything incorrect yet.
You have not found anything incorrect yet?
Yeah.
Well, as you know, and I know, that the wives run the household, and we don't have to go to anywhere for the right answer. We can just go to our spouse.
That's what will never change.
Happy spouse, happy house.
That's right.
There you go. I just learned that a couple of weeks ago. I thought that was interesting. According to an AI, artificial intelligence overview, high school basketball coaches face significant stress due to demanding schedules, pressure to win, and managing player and parent expectations, which can lead to burnout and exhaustion. Stressors include long hours of practices, games, and film study, dealing with difficult parents, and the emotional toll of making cuts or managing player playing time. Sources also mention financial concerns and the stress of maintaining a healthy work-life balance. Today, I welcome back Sauk-Prairie head boys basketball coach Sean McGann to the Buck and Honey's remote studios. This is part 3 of a 5-part series where we follow Coach McGann and get a behind-the-scenes look into the life of a high school basketball coach. Sean grew up in Baraboo, Wisconsin, and attended Baraboo High School and is a proud Thunderbird. After high school, he would take his talents to the University of Wisconsin Stevens Point and join the Pointer men's basketball team. Sean was a member of the 2015 Division III National Championship basketball team and graduate with a degree in physical education and health. He's a teacher and boys basketball coach at Sauk-Prairie High School. Today, I'm so glad you could join us. Sean McGann, what is up?
Let's do it, man. You know what? We might have to do this every year because ever since you've been doing this, we've put a pretty darn good product on the floor with our high school team.
Well, I just hope to be a small positive cog in the wheel over there, and we just got done talking about some positive and interesting dudes, which we'll bring up here in a little bit. Some of the best people I've met in coaching in my lifetime have come from Sauk-Prairie, and I'm adding you to that list of just good quality people.
I appreciate that. No, it is. I know it's really cliche to say, but it genuinely does feel like a family there. Like I work with the same people every single year. It feels like I've had zero turnover in leadership. To be able to work with the same people for basically the last 10 years has been pretty awesome, and an awesome place to call home for me. So, yeah.
Yeah, just up the road. Used to be a heated rival at some times, and now,
Absolutely.
yeah, you're a main cog in that wheel over there. So we're going to go backwards a little bit here. We're shooting on the 25th of January. How was your winter break and the holidays?
Well, my wife and I and our son all had COVID.
Oh boy. Yeah. The last time we talked, I think we were going first or second day in
we were
winter break.
Towards the end of the break there, we just got crushed. I mean, I am someone who probably gets sick maybe twice a year. And my wife gets sick pretty frequently because she's around second graders all the time. But yeah, man, I just could hardly even get out of bed. I just felt like I got hit by a truck. And then we went and got tested, and they're like, yeah, you guys have COVID. So I figured whatever, I guess it's better to have it during break than having to miss a bunch of school. But yeah.
So break was good. We'll talk about some of the playing. Your son, does he register with any of the, being almost 7 months old now, does he register with unwrapping anything at all, or is he just stuffing wrapping paper in his mouth?
Mostly just likes the paper. But man, it's just been so cool. Like every single week he is different. He's like way more attentive now. He doesn't just laugh randomly. Like he laughs at things that we So yeah, it's been crazy. I can't believe he's 7 months old today.
And he's probably sitting up, and it's crazy. I've had
so close to crawl. Yeah.
I've had 3 little ones now, 3 grandkids, and there's $500 or $600 worth of toys scattered around, and they're content with like some trash or something that crinkles in their hands, and they can play with that stuff for hours.
He's beginning a big boy now. I mean, we just actually went out to eat with another couple that we really enjoy, and they have a 14-month-old, so twice as old as Mason, and they weigh the same. So he is a really, really big boy, and we're excited to see him continue to grow. So
maybe I was thinking maybe shooting guard, maybe even point guard, but now we might be thinking fullback. Fullback.
Yeah, we'll go more like he'll be like a strong hitting safety.
Strong hitting safety. Chuck Cecil comes to mind when I'm thinking of strong hitting safety. Speaking of strong hitting safety, I actually, this popped in there and I thought that I want to see what you bring to the table, is I've got this question of the day that I've been marching out on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook now, and it's getting some traction, which I really like. Brings some good thoughts to people. But here's the question of the day, and you should feel lucky because you're getting this ahead of the general public. Let's go. So if you could go back in time to a historical sporting event, you and I are huge sports guys. If you could go back in time to a historical sporting event, what would you go back in time and watch and be a fan in the stands?
Yeah, well, gosh, immediately coming to my mind is like a Packers Super Bowl.
Packers Super Bowl.
But you know what? I'm a big golf guy.
Oh boy.
I think absolutely electric. Although the thing with golf is it's harder to actually watch it in person because you're constantly having to move. There's a ton of people. But if I could get a front row seat to every shot that Tiger Woods hit at the 2019 Masters in the final round, I think that would be the top, because the Masters is at the top of my bucket list in terms of sporting events. I enter the lottery every single year for a ticket, and I'm like 0 for 15.
0 for 15, okay.
Yeah, I want to take my dad to the Masters really badly. I think that would be the coolest.
I think that's an all call you just put out there. I hopefully somebody will chime in. Hey, I can get McGann and his old man.
Would be incredible if someone could hook me up with some Masters tickets. Oh, I will. That will be the coolest thing ever.
Well, bringing that historical event to the show here, it'd be cool to be on the bag. I wouldn't even need to be a front row seat. Let's get on the bag. I know that's not 2019 is not when Tiger hit some of those ridiculous shots. I think it's on 16, that one par 3. That had to be like early 2000s. But I never thought of that, of being on the bag at Masters tournament.
Yeah, that would be, and just like the vibe of the Masters, like no phones. Everyone is just like present in the moment. And like I've heard concessions are just like dirt cheap. Like it's just old school tradition. like respect, love for the game. I just think that would be awesome.
Well, you got me thinking now, thinking about my historical event. Well, it's kind of a little bit selfish, but I would love to be in the stands behind the basket at the Fieldhouse 1987 Class B state championship game, just to see how this Tim DeCora put 31 up in the championship, scored half his team's points. Everybody sees me as a podcast guy or PE guy, but dude at 31 in the finals. Yeah, but I would just love to listen to the fans and see what that was like back then, because they seemed to be pretty energized. I know I was pretty energized, but
you have like a recording of the game?
I do, and I don't even know if it would play anymore. First of all, I'd have to find a VCR. Maybe I'll put an all-call out with Masters tickets, and can somebody get us a VCR? Yeah, we got to convert that over to DVD somewhere. I think it's on the internet somewhere. You have to look hard. I haven't found it yet, but somebody said, it's on YouTube somewhere. But
I got to watch it.
Yeah, I just get fouled and march to the free throw line.
Yeah, don't you record for most free throws attempted?
I got a couple of records still that are still in there, and next year will be 40 years that those bad boys are in there. But hey, it's kind of cool and reminisce about. Anyway, well, thanks for that little trip down memory lane of the Masters, and got me to share my stuff. And I'm feeling a little electric now. Anyway, before we get to your story, I need to talk about our sponsor. Our sponsor, Buck and Honey's Restaurants, are a place that people can escape to. For me, it's a great escape from cooking dinner. And last time we talked, you and your wife tag teamed the dinner with their great food and drink menu, 5-star customer service, and a welcoming and vibrant atmosphere. People keep coming back with locations in Sun Prairie, Monona, Waunakee, and Mount Horeb. Most communities in Dane County, which encompasses the Madison metropolitan area, can get to a Buck and Honey's within 10 to 15 minutes. And I'm going to do a little quick drum roll. You've been to Buck and Honey's. Yep. And have you hit all 4 of the locations yet?
No, still only one. Like when my wife lived in Sun Prairie, that's where we would sometimes go.
On the podcast, our guests follow the format for sharing their story like this. In segment 1, we talk about the beginning of the season a little bit. We're kind of over the halfway mark and what it's like and what has happened up to this point. And in segment 2, we continue to talk about what has happened, get into what it's like now as we enter the grind of the basketball season. And we discuss Sean's 5 suggestions for thriving. The Sauk-Prairie boys basketball team is currently sitting at 10 wins and 4 losses as of today we're shooting the show on January 25th. 6-1 in the Badger Small, a half game behind the McFarland Spartans, riding a 5-game winning streak. You split 2 games in the prestigious Sentry Classic at your college alma mater, the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. Did that play out like you thought?
Yeah, it was just, like I think I had mentioned before, like, yes, I wanted us to go up there and compete and play good basketball, but just the idea of us staying overnight together, like spending basically 48 hours straight with each other, I think that does so much for team chemistry, and that was like really my main objective is I wanted us to become closer as a team as we make kind of our stretch into the conference play. Yeah, it was seriously so much fun. We had a bunch of good food together. I showed them my favorite pizza place, Polito's in Stevens. I loved Polito's. We played some pickleball at Century World. It was terrible, terrible weather, so I wish we could have gone around the campus a little bit and kind of showed them some stuff, but for that, like even Kent Dernbach is the head coach at Stevens Point right now. He was the main assistant there. For him to just like take the time, he didn't even have to do this, but like Stevens Point played, I think, Lakeland on that Sunday or Monday. I can't remember what day it was. And then he stayed after and watched our game and met some of my players. I was just like, what a class guy. Like, he did not have to do that. And to have some of my former teammates, even from college, come and watch, who still live in the area, come watch us play. I just thought that was really cool. And we played Oshkosh West, who is a strong physical team, kind of got up pretty big and then kind of dwindled a little bit at the end, made it interesting. And then we played an awesome Spash team, and we were up, I think, 2 with like 4 minutes to go, and then they just made some big time plays and pulled that one out. So would have been cool to go 2-0, but yeah, again, the main objective was us to feel closer together as a team, and we definitely accomplished that goal.
Well, there's two things I'm going to have you maybe talk on. Is the team chemistry is so huge from top to bottom and everything in between, and coaches do things during the season, and now because of the rules, it's kind of the wild west in the summer. Coaches do some things with their teams in the summer, overnight stuff. And then, so I'm going to have you talk about that a little bit. And then you've got Coach Dernbach as a college coach at really one of the top, 5 or 10 Division III universities in the country that we have right here in Wisconsin. And he's just a regular guy, and finishes up his game and hard exterior, but he's just a really good guy that takes his time out of his day to stick around and watch your team play. I think that's really cool. Comment on both of those situations.
Yeah, man. I just I tweeted out because Dernbach put something on Twitter that, he had two of my former teammates watching me, and then the Spash coach, John Krull, who's also a national champ at Stevens Point, and promoting why Division III athletics are so cool. And I just said, find a school and a coach that cares about you after you're done playing for them. I feel like I've really taken that and tried to apply it to my life as well for my players. I want them to know that, yes, I want to challenge them as basketball players, but I want them to know that I genuinely care about them as people, and I want them to do well outside of high school. I only have them for such a small portion of their life, but there's so much more life to live for all of these guys. So I've definitely learned that from Coach Dernbach and Coach Semling. Coach Semling was the head coach when I was there. Just to have Coach Semling still reach out to me every holiday, constantly asking, how my wife is and how my son is. I just think that's those are coaches that care about the people. And you heard Signotti, even from Indiana, after his national championship, you win with people. Yes, we want them to be better basketball players and challenge them in the sport, but at the end of the day, it's those relationships that are really important. And that kind of segues into your first point about the team chemistry on our team. This is by far the closest team I've ever had, and that's not saying I haven't had other teams that are close, but these guys really care about each other, and I do not have one single player that if they do not play, they are bringing the other people down. And you know what? I'm going to give a plug for those guys, because I think that is an incredible employability skill, to be selfless and put the team ahead of themselves. We have some amazing guys that challenge us in practice, that make us better. And on the bench, we constantly watch clips on our bench. If we are not into the game on the bench, then I clip that and I show our guys, why is this guy standing and these guys are not on big plays. So guys like Aiden Larson, Tanner Annan, Cole Salveson, Caleb Bryan, and Cashton Rashine, Carter Crookton. These are all kids that they show up to practice every day and they work hard, but they don't always get the satisfaction of playing. And I do a book discussion with our seniors every year. And right now we're reading Toughness by Jay Billis. And I told, we have 5 seniors, 3 of them play and 2 of them do not. I told the 3 that play that it's pretty easy for you guys to show up and practice really hard because you know that you're probably going to play. These 2 guys over here, they still show up really, to practice every day with a good attitude and practice hard, but they don't get the satisfaction of playing. And as a high school kid, even as a college kid, that is really, really, really hard when you don't get the satisfaction of playing in those games. And I'm just really proud of those guys, because I've had teams in the past where if guys aren't playing, you can kind of feel those guys bringing the rest of the guys down a little bit and matching their energy, kind of an energy drainer. But we don't have any of those. It's truly been so fun to be around as a coach, and it makes my life, it makes our players, our assistants' lives so much easier. And obviously you can understand that too as a coach, having coached so many groups, but it's been really fun to work with them.
Sometimes you got 10 wins. You can probably talk about, for sure 2 or 3 of those wins you don't get, but maybe you get because of the team chemistry and the vibe and the never give up attitude, and just what a positive vibe can do for you. And you kind of needed that a little bit now. So for the first time this season, you would experience a 2-game losing streak. You came out of the Sentry Classic with a loss to a very good Stevens Point area senior high school. And you had mentioned SPASH. That's what that stands for. And then you would go into a Badger Small League game against McFarland, who's got a very good team this year. And matter of fact, they are leading the Badger Small at 7-1. How did you handle that second loss? And I know it's one of your 5 suggestions for thriving is not to focus on the record. Yeah. Talk about that from the player standpoint.
Okay, so for a long time, I've looked at other coaches. I've heard these other coaches that are really successful, and a lot of them have a common kind of theme of like they felt like they were the most successful when they stopped caring about wins and losses and they started caring about people. And I always thought for the longest time that like, oh, well, that's really easy to say when you're winning a bunch of games, and like that just sounds like the right thing to say. I doubt they actually mean it. And I really feel like I've actually done that this year. You know, you can ask our team. I rarely ever, I hate talking about wins and losses. I really just try to focus on every single game. I tell our guys, surrender the outcome. It does not matter what happens, but we need to leave here a better basketball team. And our motto this year, the guys kind of came up with when they do, their poster, every team does like a poster now, is no quit. So they always say no quit. I feel like I've had teams in the past that really struggled with lead changes. So like if we were leading and the other team took that lead from us, it felt like, dang it, there's that, let's go on to the next one. This team, it doesn't feel like that. We've had so many games where we've had big leads, we've lost them, and then we come back and we win. And some where we didn't. But like we just really try to surrender the outcome, just focus on what we can control. At the end of the game, you look up and you're like, wow, we painted a beautiful picture just by putting our head down and focusing possession by possession. And yeah, it's been really, really fun to just watch that. I can see them like learning to just compete hard. And I tell them, don't even look at the scoreboard. Like, I'll do that stuff. Just put your head down and compete, your tail's off. And they've really kind of got behind that idea.
And it sounds like maybe you lost the game, or some people might say, well, we just ran out of time. We could have used another 2 more minutes and we would have got the lead back and we would have won. But you know what? We're walking out of here. Nobody's throwing a clipboard. Nobody's smashing videotapes. How do we get better? What do we need to work on? And let's get on the bus and go home.
And so I guess kind of to answer like about the 2-game losing streak. Yeah, obviously we're frustrated. We want to win. We're human. But at the end of the day, I don't really know if that honestly affected us. I feel like, we just took the game for what it was and, okay, we got to get better in these areas and try to grow. And like I tell them, the whole point of the regular season, like people always hype up this, like the seeding and stuff like that. Yes, obviously you want to get the best seed you can. But at the end of the day, like the regular season, all it does is just give you a number by your name. For the postseason, are you playing your best basketball at that moment? I think that is way more important than the number, the seed that you get, at the end of the year. So we just got to keep continuing to get better, and this group totally buys into that.
Yeah, and we can take a little look at the college football playoff situation, and Miami being the 10 seed, could have very well packed it in and said, we got the 10 seed, we're going to get beaten. There they were in the national championship game, and Indiana had the number 1 seed, and they're Indiana. They're not supposed to be there, and they made it all work. Stoughton would almost extend your losing streak to 3, but Bowdoin Breinig would snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. In our recent text exchange back and forth, and I tried to go and look that shot up on YouTube somewhere because I had seen it somehow. Hadn't spent enough time to find it, but you mentioned some good stuff that comes out of coaching, and we talked about the Bowdoin's big game winner. One of your players overcame some adversity. Do you care to share?
Yeah, and actually it is Bowdoin. So after the game, longtime reporter Dennis Semrau, we all know Dennis.
Yep. He
asked me, where does that shot rank? And it was a very interesting question because I've never had that question. Like, where does that shot rank in your coaching career? to give a little context, like, it was a great basketball game. It was back and forth all game. We led kind of late. We ended up turning the ball over. We were up by like 1, I think, with 30 seconds left. We're trying to possess the ball. We turn it over. Stoughton scores. So now Stoughton is up 1. We have the ball, no timeouts. We go down the floor trying to get into a quick action, and we get called for a moving screen. So we were just up by 1 with 30 seconds left, and now we're down by 1 with 8 seconds left, and they have the basketball. What a terrible turn.
Oh, boy.
And Stoughton calls timeout. We come to the sidelines. A lot of teams, high school kids, would come to the sidelines with, like, sadness in their eyes.
It's over.
Face, like, oh, we just lost this game. They didn't. And so Stoughton's trying to get the ball in bounds. Our guy fights really hard to try to deny them. Stoughton gets called for a moving screen. So now it's our ball. 8 seconds left. Yeah, wild. 8 seconds left. A scenario we practice all the time, sideline out of bounds, this exact situation. We run it. It wasn't executed perfectly because we didn't kind of complete this key pass, but the ball ends up in Bowden's hands, and he just goes into I don't even know, this just different mode. He just catches it, just goes right into a move, step back 3, boom, game, we win by 2. And so to answer Dennis' question, I said, I think, honestly, it's probably number 1. Like, we've had other game winners, even this year. But to me, that shot is more special because of the guy that hit it. Like, I think I had mentioned before, like, this is a guy that worked really hard on his game his entire life. And as a sophomore, he really wanted to be a varsity player. And he like literally had not hit puberty yet. Like, he was so tiny. He didn't have the body quite for it. And so, yeah, I remember putting him on JV as a sophomore, and I remember that conversation. Like, he had tears in his eyes. Like, he was so frustrated. And most kids would say, okay, I'm done. Like, coach doesn't believe in me. You know, this is stupid. I didn't get the satisfaction of being on the team I wanted. And even as a junior, he did not start for us. He came off the bench and still didn't give up. He spent a ton of time in the gym this summer, and even if he would have missed that shot at the end to win the game, I feel like I'm just so proud of him because he never stopped working. And that is what high school athletics should teach us, to just continue to go, to continue to put your head down. I don't need to tell people how that I'm working. I'm just going to let my game do the talk. And for him to now have the season that he's having, like, in my eyes, he's a first-team all-conference player. I think he'll be the first-team all-conference player that I've coached. I just thought it was what a moment for him to have. Like, he deserved that moment. And to see our team celebrating his success, like, just makes me so happy. And I wrote it in our newsletter I sent out to families. I, like, seriously got emotional typing it because it's like, that's what it should be. That is what high school athletics needs to be. Kids that, like, they might not get the result they want, but that's not going to change who I am. I'm going to continue to work because I want this really badly. And then, boom, look what happens.
Dude, I'm getting emotional listening to this. And
like, on the bus, you know, and the other factor is, like, he has a dad on our staff. Like, his dad coaches our JV team. He has a brother that's a freshman on our JV team. And Todd Brining is the dad. He showed me a text after the game in their family group chat of, like, his youngest son congratulating Bowden on the shot. And he's like, dude, this never happens. Like, they're brothers. They banter back. He said that almost means more to me than the actual shot. And that's what it does, man. It just brings people together. Like, I hope it inspires other kids to, like, and I'm certainly going to be talking about him for a long time. Like, and I hope it inspires other kids that, like, when you don't get what you want, like, you have one of two things. You can just give in and stop and quit, or you can just continue to work. And yeah, it was pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think I have lots of experiences of kids that will do just that. They'll not get what they want, and then they stick it out and be disgruntled, or they might even, hey, coach, I think I'm going to focus on baseball or track or something else. I'm going in a different direction. But it's rare that we have guys like Bowden Breinig come through and just stick with it. And you had mentioned he also grew some. So that is a good, feel-good story that I got kind of the tingles for here a little bit. That would start you on your current 5-game winning streak. And because our listeners want to hear how the middle of the season has gone so far for you, I need to talk about our sponsor one more time. Buck and Honey's has been with the Survive and Thrive 8791 crew since the beginning, with 4 locations in the Madison area. One is always near. People ask why Buck and Honey's. Owner Tom Anderson places a high priority on the mental health of his employees. He has a mental health professional available for them should they need support. I don't know how many businesses go above and beyond their EAP, Employee Assistance Program, but Buck and Honey's does. Head boys basketball coach Sean McGann is in Buck and Honey's remote studios with us today via cell phone. The Survive and Thrive 8791 crew will be following Coach McGann throughout the 2025-26 season. We will visit with him once a month as he goes through the grind of the boys basketball season. We'll be with him through the ups and downs of the season as he guides the Eagles through the Badger Conference Small Division. Please stay tuned. Don't change that channel. You're not going to want to miss segment 2 of Survive and Thrive 8791. We will be back.
If you, a loved one, or someone you know is experiencing a physical, mental, or emotional crisis, there is help and resources out there. Contact NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness Helpline, at 1-800-950-6264. This is a free service providing information, resource referrals, and support to people living with a mental illness, their family, providers, and the public. United Way 211 is available 24/7, 365 and offers free confidential assistance. They connect people with the local programs and services that can help. Dial 211. Emergency Crisis Services, dial 911. The Suicide Prevention Lifeline, dial 988. To connect via web, chat, visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. Along with those numbers, there is help. You just need to say 3 words. I need help. Now, back to the show.
We are back. Welcome back to segment 2 of Survive and Thrive 8791. I'm your host, Coach Tim Decora. We are in the Buck and Honey's remote studios on the east side of our great capital city of Madison, Wisconsin. The podcast is where we feature guests who share their story in hopes of helping others who may be struggling with what life throws at them. Today, I'm glad to be joined in the Buck and Honey's remote studios via cell phone by my good friend, Sauk-Prairie head boys basketball coach, Sean McGann. He's here to share how the season is going so far and how he plans to navigate his team through the back third of the season, or actually almost maybe even half. You are entering your 7th season as varsity head boys basketball coach. As a former head coach, I know there are ups and downs of a season. Just about everyone handles the ups and downs the same way. We celebrate. We're happy for the players, coaches, and everyone involved with the program. Unfortunately, there are downs or low points during the season. Even when you win, sometimes there can be situations that arise that can burst your bubble. Let's talk about Sauk-Prairie's current 5-game winning streak. After the late game heroics of Bowden Breinig at Stoughton, you are riding a 5-game winning streak. Tell us how the team is playing or has been playing through that time.
Been just a really awesome stretch for us. Obviously coming up here in the second round of the Badger Small Conference, I have a feeling our conference is just going to beat each other up. There's kind of a 4-team race right now. Stoughton, Mount Horeb, us, and McFarland at the top there. And then we have some awesome teams kind of in that middle pack. Fort Atkinson's a really solid group. Edgewood, who we just ended up playing for our last game, they got some guys that can really put the ball in the hoop. So, it's going to be a tough stretch here moving forward, but we're just really trying to enjoy the present moment. In teams that I've had in the past, when we kind of go on a little bit of a streak at times, and we even did it maybe even after we beat Mount Horeb earlier in the year, we kind of get a little bit of a big head, and just trying to communicate to our guys that, like, hey, anyone can beat anyone at any given moment. And I always remind them, like, we see it every single March in March Madness too, like teams that are not supposed to win, come out and win. So you got to show up. Nobody cares who we've beaten or who we've played. Every single game is its own event in the history, and we need to show up.
Hey, let's that kind of gets me into check in with some of these other teams. We talked about Bowden Breinig for Sauk-Prairie. We've talked about Josh Manchester at Mount Horeb and some of the things that he's done. Let's talk about some of the kids from McFarland and Stoughton. Good friend of mine that I competed against a little bit in high school. Hibner, let's talk about his son.
Yeah, man, he's a player. He's a great kid too. I really enjoy I enjoy watching him compete. I enjoy our interactions that we have. He likes golfing too, so we talk golf every time we see each other. Man, he's a good player. He's a lefty. He can score at all three levels. He's a competitor. He's been on winning teams his whole life. And yeah, he actually scored his 1,000th point against us. Our goal of ours was for him to not score his 1,000th, and he ended up doing it. But he's just a really tough guy to guard. I mean, even when you play good defense, he's good enough to still make shots on you. And so, yeah, I really enjoy watching him play. He'll be going, I believe, to Duluth next year.
Yep.
He'll totally do fine there. He's definitely got the college game, and he also he's a good defender too. You know, he can move, he can guard 1 through 5. Obviously, in high school it'll be a little bit different in college, but yeah, he just has some of those guys they just have the it factor. He just has that. You just know that he's gonna do good things wherever he goes. So yeah, I enjoy watching him compete.
Yeah, Chris Hibner is a guy that I competed against in high school. He, I believe, is a year or two younger than me at Portage, and his two sons have did really well and really good players in high school, and it's cool to see. How about McFarland's best kid or players?
Yeah, they kind of are a two-headed monster with good role players. That's the thing. Some of these teams have really, really good, players, but then the guys around them aren't as good. McFarland has role players that can shoot, so it's you can't really help off of them. Eli Krieger is a guy for McFarland. He has multiple Division I offers. He's a 6'8", 6'9" kid who can shoot it and blocks everything at the rim. And he's one of those guys that, I was preparing for Edgewood, I was watching Edgewood versus McFarland, and I told our staff, I don't even know if it's a good film to watch, because we don't really have anyone that when Edgewood would go into the lane, it's almost even if Krieger didn't block it, they still thought he was going to. So you know how it just impacts shots in the lane. And so, yeah, they're just really, really solid. Actually, Stoughton just beat McFarland for their first loss in the league, which helps us, obviously, having, also one loss. But, yeah, and then they have a guard, Garrett Kroll, who's solid. But that Eli Krieger is the real deal. I mean, he's as good of a high school player as we have in our league, and he's only gonna get better in college too, because he can score at all three levels as well, and he's a great defender.
Yeah, that's good to hear about some of the players in the league, and I knew a little bit about Manchester, and I certainly knew about your team, but to hear some of those good things about some of those other players in the league, and the respect that you have for those kids. Since the show has a mental health component to it, coaches can experience all kinds of mental health things like anxiety, depression during the season, wins and losses, and having to manage all kinds of different types of people, and that goes to the parents and the booster club members and people in the program, and certainly the players and the coaches. And let's talk about some things, because this is one thing that you wanted to share that would be relevant to somebody listening to the show now because of the coaching aspect. Let's talk about how you handle parent situations. And I'm going to ask you a question here. What are some things you've had to work through with parent situations? And if you want to get specific or generalize it, go ahead.
Yeah. So I think it's very interesting, having the perspective of I was a head coach with no children and now being one with a kid. I think my perspective on it has changed. Before I had Mason, my son, I think I looked at parents a little bit differently. Now at the end of the day, for example, there have been times where I've gotten emails after games with parents really frustrated about their kid not playing, or I was actually just talking with my AD about this, the amount of parents that think that their kid is going Division I. I think it's like just under 20% of parents that have a kid that plays sports think that their kid is going to be a Division I athlete.
Dude, I think it's higher than that in some places. They're going to go to the NBA, the NHL, the MLB.
It's, they obviously a little bit delusional right there, but, I've had a parent that thought that their son, was going to the NBA. And I think, at the end of the day now, I look at this and I'm like, this is just a parent that loves their son dearly. They want the best for their kid, and I can't blame them. Everyone does. And so it's getting the families on page. And this is something I actually did at the beginning of the year this year is I had a family night. I brought all families, grandparents, siblings, whoever wanted to come in, and we did like a fun skills challenge, and then we, played some trivia and ate a meal together. And I just talked about how I've been on a lot of teams that have, had parents that really supported their kids and that the kids could feel that. And I've been on teams where parents, divided the group and we could feel that. And like they play such a significant role in our team. And I know that that's really hard. Like, parents only see the games, and they obviously sometimes have a little bit of the heart-tinted glasses on that they only see the good in their kids. But just trying to use sport as a metaphor for them to translate that into positive life skills, right? Like, there's going to be struggle in every area of their lives, and can they work through that? Can they learn to communicate with their teammates? Can they learn to, lean on people that care about them? Can they, there's just so many things that you can learn through sport. And yeah, like you talk about, coaches struggle with mental health a lot through the year. Well, I also, I have players that do too. Like I just recently had a player lose their grandparent, and that affects families too. And families are also going through things, whether it be things through their job, things through their marriage, things through, struggle with kids, whatever it might be. So we don't always have the full picture. And I think that at the end of the day, parents just want the best for their kids. And I think that that's totally fair.
Basketball or sports really in general can make a huge difference in a kid's life, where they come to practice and they love being with their teammates and their coaches love them and care about them. Or it could be a negative. Well, I don't want to go to practice because the coach is all over me all the time. And this is an opportunity for you as a coach to be, have a safe place to come to at 3:30 every day or whenever you have practice, and they enjoy it. And then it kind of takes their mind off of what's going on in their lives or at home. And that should be that way, but it's not always that way. And you've been able to share with us some of the player relationships that you try to foster. I really like that newsletter that you mentioned is just another form of communication that you don't have to jump on the phone. You can type something up and send out.
Yeah, and I really try to like incorporate things that don't relate to basketball. So like, for example, we have 2 students that just presented to our entire staff at our last staff meeting on trying to incorporate Black excellence into our curriculum for Black History Month. And, to see, it can be really intimidating to present to adults, period, even as an adult, but as a high school kid, presenting to your teachers. I was just really proud of them stepping up to the podium and talking about that. I thought that was really, really cool. And so I just put stuff like that in our newsletter, like things that families would never hear about otherwise, because it's not the game that's, they're not in the crowd seeing that stuff. But, these kids do a lot of really good things around our building, and I think they deserve to be recognized for some of that stuff. And yeah, so it's been a really nice thing I've got a lot of positive feedback on the newsletter stuff. And it also, I enjoy doing it because it forces me to like sit down and reflect and talk about like, man, even amongst, this losing streak or things like that, like there's still a lot of good things happening in our program. And I think that's, kind of a reframing that we've talked about in the past year, kind of a reframing mindset that I've done.
Yeah, exactly. Player relationships can be unique to work through. So you touched on the parent stuff. Now you have the 3 levels of players on a team. You have the star players, the guys that get all of the recognition. Then you have those role players or the contributors that get a lot of minutes or some minutes, role role minutes. And then you have the kids that play a key role on the scout team, but might be waiting their turn this year. How do you handle all those players and emotions that can come, from all levels of those kids?
Yeah, so I think that's one of the biggest challenges of coaches at any level. At the JV2 level, and even a little bit at the JV level, like there still is this component of like, we want to get people in and we want to develop people. But, at the varsity level, like we're putting our most competitive group of kids out there. And that means that not everyone plays. And obviously that's communicated at our parent meeting, but that can be really hard because for a lot of these kids, especially like juniors, this is the first time that they've ever played a sport where they're not consistently getting minutes. And I alluded to it a little bit in the last segment of like, that's really hard for high school kids. You can go one of two ways. You can pull everyone down and drain the energy of the room, or you can put the team ahead of yourself, and which is really hard to do, and continue to show up and practice hard every day. And I'm so lucky that we have kids that are the latter. They'll show up. It does not matter, if they're getting the minutes or not. They're going to try their best, and we try to like make practice really fun. When we do like starters versus scout team, I try to persuade the rules a little bit so that they favor the scout. Any 50-50 calls go on the way of the scout team, and I'm usually coaching the scout team, and so I'm throwing different things their way, and it's a good way for me to like, can they take what I take when I say in a timeout and put it to the floor? And it also allows me to coach against our starting unit the way that I would want to see us get coached against. Throwing different things like, okay, we're going to double the first pass, or we're going to play zone here, just so that they're totally prepared. And so they do a really good job of that. But for sure, it's hard, man. I can't say that I've had every single group that had kids that were all about the team. I've had players that were not that way, and it totally, in our exit meetings with kids, the other kids feel that. They're like, oh, this player felt like very selfish, and it drags the team down. It really does. And so we don't have any of those guys this year, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think you bring up a great point. And I remember who I read or heard this in an interview or a podcast, but some head coach had to figure out how they could develop a better relationship with the scout teamers or the kids that don't get many minutes, because you spend a lot of time scouting report and putting in plays with your best players, the starters. And somebody said, well, I just go and coach the scout team, and that's my way of getting interaction with the kids that maybe aren't getting minutes, so they can't come back at the end of the season in those exit meetings and say you didn't care. Well, you were the coach of our scout team. You were kind of getting us ready all the time, and I love that. And I think that would be something that a young coach listening can maybe think about doing, even in the middle of the season. It's better late than never.
Absolutely.
Besides family, and we talked about some things before we hit record today. Besides family, you have your wife that if you're at home, you ride home with her and she lets you vent, and then you get on the phone with your dad at some point. Who else has provided support for you this year that we haven't talked about yet? Coworker, friend?
For sure. Well, several people. Number one, my athletic director is incredible, Josh Boyer. I 100% feel comfortable sharing anything with him. He's a great person, and someone I've really developed a great relationship with. Obviously, my principal too, like Chad Harnish. He's been involved with sports his entire life. He totally gets it too. Both of our assistant principals, obviously one being on my staff, Aaron Andres, but then Shane Bean, like he refs high school games, and me and Coach Hotman try to ref about 40 youth games a year. So we're constantly talking to Shane Bean about that stuff too. But then I even mentioned, before the phone call, Jeff Oxenkiel was my high school football coach. And he came to Baraboo when I was a sophomore. So I only had 3 years with him. But he watches every single game. If he's not at the game, he is texting me, asking for a link, and he texts me after every game. And we've gotten to the point now in our relationship where he can challenge me on some of my thinking. So we had a game last week where we were up by 40. We put our backups in, and it got down to about 13. So it was
oh boy,
a little frustrating. And he kind of gave me, hey, how about this as a recommendation? And I was like, yeah, that's actually a reflection that I had after the game. And so I love that he can challenge me on some thinking. And then a lot of times on Wednesdays, he'll send me an email where he meets with actually my former superintendent, Cliff Thompson. And they meet together on Wednesdays, and they call it Wooden Wednesday. So it's articles that they send me. And this last one was basically about how leadership is not a one-person task, and that it needs to be shared with people. And when you have shared leadership, I think there's more like ownership of the group. And so, yeah, it's just really special to have him in my life. We meet pretty regularly. We haven't been able to do it during this season, but pretty regularly to have lunch together. And just reflect and talk and enjoy each other's company. So I'm very thankful for Jeff Oxenkiel, but then other coaches too. A coach I've really, really loved competing against, and I just loved watching him coach. He was one of the first coaches I really loved watching coach, and you probably know this guy is Brian Bester.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, man, dude, I just loved his intensity. It didn't matter if it was a summer game, didn't matter if it was a conference title game. He was going to give it everything he had from Reedsburg. He's someone that like throughout the year I'll randomly text to, and I just love every time I get to talk with him. I feel like I just become better as a coach. So yeah, those are amongst other people. Those are some of the people. But then I even want to throw this out. Like, we have a former manager that like comes to games regularly, Lexi Schwartz, and to have a student manager who is now out in the community working, going to college, coming back to games. And like her tradition was she always used to give me like the Mamba candies before a game. She'll give me a pack of Mamba candies. I'm just like, how cool is that, man? Like, are you serious? It's just it's cool to have people that, continue to support me and our team and our program. And Lexi's for sure someone that I know that if I was really struggling, I know I could go to her too, and she would do everything she can to help. So she's just built like that. So yeah, a bunch of people.
Well, Coach McGann, keep doing what you're doing because you're sending out positive vibes, and I look forward to when we get an opportunity to do each segment, and that's going to get us on here to talking a little bit about part 4 coming up here. But I think, yeah, the positive vibes you give out, you're getting back, just how you work with kids, how you work with coworkers and friends, and then ex-coaches and administrators from the area that you still stay in touch with. And I think you're going to continue to affect people, wherever you go. And right now you're doing a great job at Sauk-Prairie High School, and things are on the way up, and we look forward to the rest of the season. So let's talk about briefly here. Let's talk about the next month of your season. By the time we get to part 4 of this 5-part series, you'll have finished the season and be entering the postseason. You have 11 games over the next month. Almost looks like an NBA type schedule. Tell us how you will approach the grind. Go ahead and talk about that.
Put our head down, man. I mean, that's put our head down and just compete and get better. And obviously continue to still care about each other as people. But, I mean, it's no secret. Yeah, I always love Mike Tomlin's thing. The secret is there's no secret. We're just going to continue to try to get better day by day. That's it.
Yeah, I love that. I'm looking forward to this next 11 games, and I will be a fly on the wall for at least one of those somewhere, and I'll have to figure out when that's going to be. And yeah, maybe we can do a little segment from the hallway of the locker room. This is where the subscribers, followers, and listeners take out the notebooks, pens, and pencils and jot some things down. Here are Coach Sean McGann's 5 suggestions that are allowing him to survive and thrive the 2025-26 season so far. And I was hoping that, things would, you might add something in, and by all means add something else in, or something has since changed, but you seem to have a very, very rock solid foundation. And so these 5 things are probably not going to change much, but we'll still talk about them anyway. Here's what you shared, and I'll have you hit these again in 60 seconds or less. And if something's changed about it, you can certainly share it. But you said number one, stop placing your value as a person into your record. And we had talked a little bit about that in that 2-game losing streak. Go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, you know what? I talk about this with my team. My best golf rounds are where I don't know what my score is. And so there are times this year where my dad's like, what's your record? And I'm like, shoot, I actually don't know. Just, put your head down and stop worrying about the record. The record is the record. It's not going to change. Continue to help your team grow.
Number two, be around people who challenge you and make you better. Go and hit that.
Yep, I already kind of talked about with Oxenkeel. Love that I have relationships in my life where people can tell me the truth regardless of how I'll feel, and obviously my wife being one of those people too. So lucky to have a lot of people like that.
Number three, have someone you can talk to when things are not going well, and those probably 2 and 3 probably relate a little together, but go ahead and hit that.
I'll never change with having, my dad. As long as he is alive, I'll always call him after games, and I'm just very lucky to have parents that care about my high school basketball team, my wife who cares about these 16 to 18-year-old boys, and and lucky to have a great staff too that allows me to vent.
Mm-hmm. Number 4, separate yourself from basketball. When you're home, be present. Go ahead and hit that.
That's what I'm about to do right now. I'm about to spend a lot of time with my little man here while my wife goes out with her mom for her birthday to go out to eat. So it'll be me and the little man.
And number 5, reframe things. What went well was a question mark you had there. Go ahead and hit that.
Yeah. So I've really taken what you kind of said last segment about when students ask questions and tried to reframe it into a positive thing. And I tell you what, it's just kind of tricked my mind into thinking, the positive thoughts. Certainly there are negative things that get the best of me at times, but try to reframe things to be as positive as possible and continue to move forward.
I think something just popped into my head that, we're human, and you're positive dude, you got positive vibes, you're around positive people, but the human side of you is that you might spend 15 minutes of being down and you lost, or practice didn't go well, or you got some bad news. We're all human. And but how can we get out of that and change our mindset to help us feel a little bit better? But it's okay to be down about the season. It's okay to get overreact about something and get angry. We're all human. But then reframing it or getting that vibe back and getting out of that is part of why we're having you on the show. And it's just
that Tony Bennett quote of when they lost I think it was after they won the national title. He said, if you use adversity in the right way, it will put you on a path that you didn't think was possible. After they lost the first round and then the next year they come back and win the national title. That's kind of what it is, man. You're going to have bad moments, but I think you can reframe those bad moments to say, hey, this could lead to a good thing, and we just don't know. You just got to keep trying your best.
Use it as fuel. I've heard as well. What an episode. I'm so glad you could join. You could take time out of your busy teaching and coaching and parenting schedule to join the Survive and Thrive 8791 crew today. Your approach and how you plan to manage the season has been fun to watch. Your approach this season reminds us all to have coping skills or mental health tools in the toolbox when a coach is met with the season's challenges. You have set yourself and your team up for success so that you and your players can survive and thrive. Coach McGann will be with us once a month throughout the season as part of a 5-month series. Fingers are crossed and things are heading in this direction that we hope to end the 5-part series in March with a gold ball and the trophy case. Our call to action, head coach Sean McGann just shared how his 2025-26 season has been going and how he plans to survive and thrive through a varsity boys basketball season. Here are Coach Sean McGann's 5 suggestions to survive and thrive. Number 1, stop placing your value as a person into your record. 2, be around people who challenge you and make you better. Number 3, have someone you can talk to when things are not going well. Number 4, separate yourself from basketball. When you're home, be present. And number 5, reframe things and ask yourself what went well. Final thoughts as we close another great episode of Survive and Thrive 8791. Are there any final thoughts? Coach McGann.
Coach, if we can't end with a gold ball, let's at least end with Masters tickets and a VCR.
Masters tickets and a VCR. I love how we had a topic at the beginning. We wrap it around. Masters tickets and a VCR. Yes, I would take that.
No, I appreciate you, man. It's been fun.
Yeah, absolutely. On our next episode of Survive and Thrive 8791, we'll have another amazing guest in the Buck and Honey's remote studios who will share how they learn to survive and thrive. If you have a story to share or you know someone who does, please reach out to me at tdecora@gmail.com. Until next time, hang in there with whatever you happen to be going through. With hard work, dedication, and determination, you can survive and thrive. Until next time, take care.